Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker, and today what we're going to be talking about is how much did it cost me to get this bike back from Germany to Ireland, and kind of all the little details that went with it. I'll talk through, how far I travelled, etc. So yeah, if you want to learn how to get a bike from Germany into Ireland, if you ride it back, stay tuned. So if you're still here, I assume it's because that you want to learn how to actually do this. So I do have a list of all the costs here in front of me, and I'm going to talk through what each cost was for, and kind of, is there a way to get out of paying that, etc. So yeah, let's get into it. So first and foremost, the things you used to do is actually find a bike. So I'll cover that first. So how did I find this bike? I used a website called Autoscout24. And I just looked. There's other videos that cover kind of why I bought this and stuff, either coming up or have already been released. So if you want to learn about that, go look at those. This video is purely about how I got it home. So to start from the very start, I booked a bus ticket from Kilkenny up to Dublin Airport. That cost me €20 with JJ Kavanagh's, nice early bus, and it worked out a treat. So €20 straight away, done, right? No problem. Next was my flight. My flight was €38 from Dublin to Frankfurt Airport with Ryanair. I did book the slightly more expensive ticket, which is still ridiculously cheap, which is good, so that I could bring both my helmet and my backpack on the plane with me, which worked out very well. From then I spent €36 with an app called Trainline. Trainline, basically, you give your start and end point, and it picks out the trains that you need to get, and gives you a reasonable change over time and stuff, and that worked perfectly, flawlessly in fact. All of the trains were on time and they were really easy to get, so that also worked out really well for me. So the next thing that I had to pay was for this. This is a German export plate. It's kind of like an export tax. Deregisters the bike, but also it acted as my insurance for 9 days, I think it is, to ride the bike home to Ireland, and that cost me €300. Now, anyone from Germany, I have tried reading up on this, and I still don't know, did I get ripped off or anything, but to be honest, even if it was like double the price it should have been, it was worth it, because Tanya from Dippold collected me from the train station, brought me to the registration office, basically did everything for me. I just had to stand there with my passport and sign some documents, and then I got my export plate and was able to just ride back. Now, there are other less legal ways to do this. I won't be covering them, but I'm sure you can figure it out yourself if you want to, and do it that way if you want to save yourself €300. But that is what I did, and again, a big shout out to Dippold for getting all that sorted for me, because it just made my life a lot easier. So far we're just flights, bus, trains, and the export plate. Something that was agreed then beforehand, once I actually got to the place and collected the bike, was obviously paying for the bike. I won't be covering the initial cost of the bike in this video, because it doesn't matter. It's really not important to the video, and it's my business anyway. So I will say I did save a considerable amount of money over buying it in Ireland, say, or even the UK, actually even considering all the money to get it home. But then you have to add on the cost of getting the bike home, and between buying it and getting it home, I still saved about €200 to €300 from buying the only one that was available in Ireland at the time, which wasn't in this colour, etc. So it's up to you whether you really want to do it, but we'll talk about more of the why at the end, why I thought it was worth it. So other things then agreed, obviously, as part of this bike deal, there was to be a 1-year guarantee on it, a 1-year warranty. So instead of that, I negotiated 2 new tyres, a TUV, and a service. And basically I put €100 extra on top of the initial asking price in order to get 2 new tyres, a service, and a TUV done to the bike. Now, I have since learned from German amigos commenting in the comments, so thank you very much, folks, that the TUV may not be worth as much as I initially thought it was, because it's pretty much corrupt in certain ways. So again, leave that up to you. I was happy to get the TUV because it gave me a little bit more confidence in riding the bike all the way home. Whether it actually did anything or not is a different story. Obviously, if you watch the videos along, you'll know that the brake pads were essentially gone, the discs are warped, and there's a couple of other little issues with the bike. But overall, it did get me home, so I can't really complain very much. So next we have Hotel One. Hotel One was the new in Eschborn in Germany. That cost me €45 for a really nice room, which was well worth it. Plus underground car parking. The underground car parking was supposed to be €10 extra, but they never charged me, so thank you, the new. I think it's because it was a bike and they just didn't think a bike was worth charging. So that was €45 for the night, which was really, really good. Very happy with that. The next day then I did get up and I went to Hotel 2, which was in Dunkirk in France. That was €55 for the night. Again, I was supposed to be charged for underground parking, but they never actually charged me. Don't know why, don't know that they forget or did they just think again it was a motorbike, so I bother. Either way, very pleased that they didn't charge me because it saved me. I think that was €15 for the underground car parking. Now if you were to ask me would I have happily paid €25 extra for underground car parking where my bike was secure for the 2 nights, absolutely, no problem. I would have happily paid that price in order so I could sleep soundly at night and not worry about my bike. And I do highly advise you do that as well, because not only was it very windy over there and rainy, it gives you that peace of mind. It's worth finding somewhere with underground car parking. And generally they have it called out on their websites, and if they don't, give them a ring before you book the hotels. It was really easy to book them. I booked them all through booking.com. So total, that's still only what, €100 on for 2 nights in hotels. Not the cheapest, but I did, like I said, I did kind of want to pick something comfortable. This was a holiday for me, so they were both nice rooms, and I was able to relax in the evenings, have a good shower, and you know, have some food somewhere else. So, and those 2 hotels also did include breakfast in the mornings, which again, that saved me like €10 to €12 if I was to go out somewhere else and get a feed the same way. And I did absolutely abuse that as well, and I advise you to do the same. I ate the biggest breakfast I was comfortable eating, and that kept me going until dinner. Happily, actually, the second day when I ate the breakfast in Dunkirk, I was stuffed. I only ate again. I actually ate again at lunchtime with Hippodrones and Big Pezza, and I was absolutely stuffed the whole way. And now I had an early breakfast, but aside from that, it's well worth paying the extra up front to pre-book your breakfast if it looks like a decent breakfast. Generally, you can see pictures online, but again, that just saves you that a little bit, and it sets you up for the day energy-wise, so worth doing. Next, we had to get the Eurotunnel from Calais across to Dover / Folkestone, whatever you want to call it. And that was €67 for the bike, which is phenomenally good value. Very, very happy with that. And that got me from France to the UK. Then I had to ride across the UK. Again, that's a different story. If you want to check out the full series of how I got home, I'll leave the link in that corner to the playlist, and you can watch it from there. People seem to have thought it was an interesting series, so if you want to see it, do go give it a look. I really appreciate it. After that then, I had booked the ferry from originally Fishguard to Dublin. Eventually, again, because of complications that arose, I had to go from Holyhead to Dublin. The ferry total cost me €137, and because it was 4 or 5 hours at sea in nighttime originally, I did book a cabin. So the whole thing came to €137. You could have gotten the ferry, I think, for about 90, but I wanted to get a couple of hours sleep because I knew I was riding straight home and I wanted to be functional the next day. But you could have saved yourself €40 there. I just decided not to. So personal preference. Then aside from that kind of food and fuel, I kind of roughly calculated that I spent about €300 on food and fuel. Probably a bit less actually, because I'm kind of overestimating the fuel cost. I'm going off the very highest fuel cost that's there. So I do think it's between 200 and 250 in real terms, but we're calling it €300 for the purposes of the video, so that people don't underestimate the cost of this. So then in total, for my flights, my buses, my trains, my hotels, my ferries, my Eurotunneling and my export plate, the total cost to get home came to €798. Which is actually not that bad. I honestly thought it was going to be worse, but it's the guts of it. Just call it €800. Now I have extremely reliable info thanks to Tales from the Bike on Instagram. I will leave a link in the description or something, or if you want to comment, I'll pin your comment or something. But basically, she gave me very reliable info that it was €500 from a dealer in Germany to transport a bike back to Ireland. So you can save yourself €200-300. However, So minus the fuel, the price was €798. So I did already discount that. So realistically, if you add in the fuel, it is the guts of €1,000, which is very important because that is twice the cost of getting the bike home. Now, like I was trying to say there, if you remove off all the stuff that I thought as part of the holiday, I end up around about the €400 or €500 mark for everything else, which means that for me, you can get a holiday for €500 and save getting the bike transported by someone else, getting mileage on your bike, getting to know your bike, or you can get it shipped home for €500 odd. Obviously that will vary depending on who you get it shipped with and where it's coming from. If it's further away, it might be more. But those are the kind of options. Other things then you have to kind of bear in mind is obviously this did not break down on me badly on the way home. I was able to jump it. But once this got home, it did need a new battery and spark plugs, which again is, for the battery and spark plugs, about €140, €150. So I had to add that in as well to calculations because those were broken. And there's lots of other parts that I'm changing because I want to. Then VRT on this bike was €135. I got the bike VRT'd in the Kilkenny NCT Centre with a guy called William. Big shout out to William again, he was super helpful, didn't try power trip at all, which sometimes people in those positions do. They just make you suffer because they can. But William was a legend, thank you William. So if you're looking to VRT a bike, maybe go to Kilkenny NCT Centre and say hello to William for me. He has no idea who I am, but that's okay. He was very nice to do it. So, like I said, in total, for me, I calculate the cost of €798. I don't include food and fuel because they put smiles on my faces. I ate a burrito in Dunkirk, which was delicious, and I ate like other petrol station food, which was actually pretty good as well. And then Pete, aka Hippo Drones, did buy me my lunch in England, so thank you very much, Pete. Really appreciate that. And I had a couple of McDonald's on the way as well. So everyone go give Pete a subscribe and tell him I sent you because he bought me food. That is very, very sound. And when you're on a big long trip like that, a little bit of kindness like that does make your day. But yeah, so that's kind of the costs. Any watch outs? Personally, I liked being able to deal with a dealer because everything was easily organised, and obviously they're a professional business, so they're much less likely to screw you over than a private seller. You could save more money going to a private seller, but do bear in mind if you want to ride the bike home, you have to get that export plate or do it some other way. But if you want the export plate, you will need a German speaker to organise it for you because there's a bit of doing in it. Tanya was running around for about half an hour getting everything done for me. So again, massive shout out to Dippold Racing for that, much appreciated, and thank you very much, Tanya, for collecting me and sorting that out as well. That, like I said, personally, the €300 for this was kind of worth it because it just meant I was legal. I was insured if I had a crash or whatever else. It also counted as my tax, etc. And it just made moving through all the countries very, very easy because you do get asked for all the sales documents and stuff at the border. I did coming into the UK. And because I had this, I had all of my proper German registration papers. Everything was together in a pack. Again, Tanya put that together for me. And it just made my life very, very simple to show that quickly to the customs officers between France and England, and yeah, it was just nice. It went swimmingly. Plus, now I get this as a keepsake to screw onto the wall over there or something, which is a very expensive keepsake, but it's a keepsake all the same. So yeah, but basically that's it. You just gotta think about your transport to get there. You have to think about how many stops you want to do on the way home. I did cover about 250 kilometers the first day, about 600 kilometers the second day, and then the last day was nearly 800, I think, which was rough. But that's because I had to take a detour. I did plan in again about 500 to 600 kilometers the third day, which would have been absolutely fine. And then the next day I was home, so that was okay. But do make sure that you give yourself enough time each day. They're long stints on a bike you don't know. And by the end of it, you do know it, which is really nice, and you kind of learn all its foibles. Like, I came home and I knew everything I needed to replace on this, which I know is kind of ridiculous, but also I really like it because I bought a bike to work on, so yeah. But basically, if you want to buy an affordable bike from another country in the EU and bring it back to Ireland, it's actually pretty easy to do. It doesn't take that much planning, and if you use apps like Trainline for your trains, Booking.com for your hotels, and I mean, everyone knows how to fly these days probably. If not, use Ryanair, someone like that. Basically to keep it as cheap as possible. You know what I mean? It's a nice way to do it. And yeah, I got this bike home for less than the cost of what one cost in Ireland. Even with the VRT and the food and all that added in, it was still ever so slightly less than buying one straight off in Ireland. And I got to ride it 1,700 kilometers already. So, I mean, it's kind of a win-win. It's also working again now, which is nice too. I'm just back from a ride, which is why I'm wearing my Wrist Rock Indie Ridge thingy majig. And I'm not saying that as a plug, I'm actually saying it because I really like it. It looks cool and it's really comfy. It's by some artist who designed them, I can't remember. I think it's Wrist Rock. Probably Wrist Rock, but it's cool anyway. And shout out to Indie Ridge for sending me this stuff. I will be wearing their boots all summer and letting you all know how they go. Not even summer, I'm already wearing them in winter. Anyway, if you have any questions about any part of this process or would like to see a follow-up video or some follow-up Instagram stories or some just ask them in the comments, do please let me know, because I mean, that's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? I have done this now, and I can help you with any questions you might have. But really and truly, it is very straightforward. Very straightforward. Just make sure that you get all of the documents you possibly can. There's 2 registration documents in Germany, a smaller one and a bigger one. You need both of those for the VRT. You also need your ferry ticket when you came into Ireland. Very important to get that because you need the date on it. You have to register for the VRT within 7 days of coming into the country and have it VRT'd within 30 days, or you have to pay penalties. What else? Yeah, that's really it. Just like I said, don't overstress yourself. Don't ride too far every day, especially if you're doing it in winter like I did. It'd be a lot more pleasant in summer. And do make sure that you tell the people you're buying it from to give the bike a service, get tires on it, etc. if you're riding at home. And if you don't ride at home, look up a courier. I'm sure there's people who've used them before to get these stuff back and give them 500, 600 euro to get your bike straight to your front door. Really, both options are very good options. If I was to do it again, would I use a courier? Absolutely not. I would definitely ride it home again because it was a really good experience and a really good journey. Yeah, that's kind of it. So if you watched, thank you very much for watching. As I said, if you do have any questions, please leave them below in the comments and I will answer them. As I said, the total cost without the food and fuel was 798 euro. With the food and fuel, just under 1,000 euro. So you are looking at the guts of 1,000 euro to ride a bike home from Germany if you take the same amount of time I did, which was, I think, 62, 63 hours total from when I left the country to when I came back into the country. So that's it. If you don't know how much VRT you have to pay for the bike, there is a VRT calculator online. Google it. I'll leave a link in the description as well. Get your details and enter them in. You can give rough guesses. It might be slightly different then, but my VRT calculator was bang on because I had the data first registration and stuff and the CCs and all that. So yeah, that's it really. Like I said, if you have any questions, do leave them down in the comments. Do hit like on this video if you'd liked it, because YouTube likes that and I really appreciate it. And yeah, until next time, a massive thank you as always to all of my patrons. Again, the help and support you gave me for buying this bike was unreal. I really appreciate it. And yeah, adios. Outro crew. Couple of bits that I'll show you. Oh. So these are my brake lines. They're HEL braided. And they have these lovely black ends and they're carbon fiber red braided, which I'm excited to get on the bike because they're gonna look class. Other than that, hold on, well, I'll get you a brake disc. This is the rear brake disc, but the fronts are gonna be the same wavy pattern. They're EBCs. Really looking forward to putting them on as well. They're gonna be class. And yeah, other than that, not much else to report right now, but the bike runs again and I'm really enjoying riding it again. So, bye outro crew.